Tapping into the money zone is something that we all do every day without even noticing. Everybody's in a zone of money. We talk about money, decoding your money mindset. The mind has a code that's related to your money. There's lots of different codes in your mind. There's codes around your relationships. There's codes around your health. There's codes around how you walk. These are like programs. So what is your money code telling you about yourself? Where do you find that you're programmed? Do you even know where you're programmed in terms of your income? Go look at your bank balance right now. See how consistent it is. Go back 12 months and see every week, every month, however you get paid, how much do you get paid, how consistent is it? That's your money code. Now, you've probably been trying to go after more money. Maybe you've been trying to attract more money, bigger sales. I don't believe that you're here because you don't want money. You're here because you do want money, or at least the side benefits of the money. But how do we actually attract the money? We put a lot of emphasis into like the work ethic side of things, right? Working the long hours, plugging money into marketing, spending lots of money on strategies and all that kind of stuff. But it all comes down to one thing. It's where your money code is coded up. It's like a piece of code. You have a phone here. It's got software on it. Just like that, your own software is controlling how much money flows into your life. I ask a lot of people a lot of questions about money. I ask them a lot of questions about money. And I always ask, like, do you find it's hard to earn money? Yes, it's hard to earn money. Well, why is it hard? The answer I normally get is, well, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Is it the marketing? Is it this? Is it that? It's actually got to do with how you're wired in terms of your money beliefs. Unless we change our money beliefs. I spent a long time trying to figure out why I wasn't able to earn the money that I felt that I deserved earning, or what I should be earning. Do you have an idea of what level of income that you should be earning by now? Do you have maybe you have an idea of what you believe your net worth should be? Maybe you're someone who's really good at what they do. You're smart, you're switched on, maybe you've got lots of qualifications, maybe you've got lots of business experience, and yet your finances don't match the experience that you actually have. Maybe you've been serving for 30 years in your industry. Everybody knows you, but there's a new kid on the block. They've been in there less than 2, 3 years, 5 years in your industry, and they come and they wipe out all your client base, take all the customers because they are doing things differently. Now you'll say, well, it's down to the strategy they're following. It's down to X, Y, and Z. But my question to you is, well, why are you not doing the things that this person's doing? I've seen it happen so many times. Somebody tries a unique method, and when you look at the same method yourself, you always think of why it won't work for you. Ever been there? I've done that plenty of times. There's always a reason why that strategy won't work for you. You got 101 different reasons as to why. That's how your logic is wired. And even like your logic is determined by your money code. This is why sometimes you might not make sense of doing something. Now, a lot of people making a lot of money online, different techniques. Some people don't even have a product to sell. They sell information. Now, if you go back 20 years, you go back 15 years, everybody that got into a business was either selling a product or a service. Very rare was somebody selling an information-based product. That's not even an actual product. It's not like these Apple Pods, right? It's an actual physical product that you can hold, you can use. Imagine all of the information-based products that are out there, different types of guides and all sorts of stuff. I remember hearing about somebody. He was a marketer in the UK quite some time ago. I think his name was Simon Colson. I think that was his name. I went to an event about, I don't know, 8, 9 years ago, and this guy was selling information-based products. So what he was doing, he would create some sort of a PDF or some workbook or something, or some sort of a literature, and he'd run ads to it, like how to do X, Y, and Z. Here's my guide too. And he'd charge for the product. It might be like a $7 product or $20 product, $100 product. I can't remember the exact formula, but they'd run Facebook ads to landing page, and it was targeted, it was niched, and somebody would go buy this product. Let's just look at someone's got a fitness program online. It's an online program of some sort. It's a digital product where they've recorded it once. It sits on a platform somewhere. They drive traffic. People buy now, start using. So they create the product once and you sell it multiple times. You see how much the world has changed in terms of how we make money compared to what it was like 20, 30 years ago. How people used to have to get out and grind and earn lots of money, work hard. Now it's totally changed, because if you don't move with the times, you're going to get left behind. And the part of that thing is the money code that you've got is going to keep you locked in. It's going to stop you making decisions. You might find an opportunity to work on, maybe a friend of yours is doing something great, is making lots of money, earning lots of money. And they've said to you, hey, listen, John, why don't you come in and try X, Y, and Z? I'm doing this. I'm making loads of money. They show you their income on their app or whatever they're doing. but you can't make sense of it. You'll say, well, that won't work for me. You've already made up your mind that it won't work for you. You justified the reasons why it won't work for you. Without any evidence, you haven't even tried it yet, and you're already disregarding whether this will work for you or not. So my question is always like, why would it not work for you? The only reason it wouldn't is how you're programmed. It's your perception, what you think about yourself and what you believe about yourself. Look at some of the people that earn the wildest sums of money in your industry right now. People might say, well, what is that person doing differently? It's not necessarily, firstly, what that person is doing differently. It all starts with, how is that person thinking? What defies that person's logic? How much belief do they have in themselves? Maybe they have some unconscious beliefs around money. So you can have an unconscious belief about money, a negative belief about money, and that will get in the way of you working a certain strategy or you doing a certain thing in your business that you can't make sense of. So we've got to keep on reevaluating who we are. Because as we grow older, as time goes by, we don't necessarily grow as human beings. Our conscious awareness doesn't always grow. We often stay in that same place psychologically. We don't develop mentally, spiritually. We're just living in this physical body and we're just operating by autopilot. You know what I mean? Look at how you've been behaving. Maybe you've got a certain way of doing things and you've got a certain routine, a certain way your business runs. And that's down to how you're programmed. Now, if you start changing, you start working with the beliefs around your money, increasing those beliefs around your money, you'll start to find is that as your money mindset starts to decode, you'll start to make decisions in a very different way. You'll start to think differently. You'll start to act differently. You start to behave differently, and you'll start to attract different opportunities. And you'll start taking, whether you want to call it a risk or you'll start taking bigger gambles, you'll become more bold. And I've seen myself with this as my money beliefs about me changed. My perception also changed at the same time. And I'll start seeing things possible for me that at one time I didn't feel that was possible for me. And it's evolution. We never get taught this in school. Now, if you study some of the most successful people, what they always tell you to think big, bigger than you can think. Think big, think on a bigger scale. Don't restrict your thinking. A lot of time people restrict their thinking based upon what's happening to their business right now, based upon their client base, how many clients have dropped off, they've lost this big contract, and it affects their thinking. I had a client of mine, she's recent to me, she's quite new to me, and she had a couple of big contracts drop off, and that's dictated her thinking. It's taken care of her. So it's taking control of her. I'm like, you can't let that control you. You can't let what's happened on the outside control you. You can become aware, like, all right, this is what's happened, but I'm not going to allow what's just happened to me to determine my results. I'm not going to allow that to do my thinking for me. Now, question, does your thinking control your results, or does your results control your thinking? Think about that. Often than not, you'll see people's results control their thinking. Everything is going great, you can think great, but as soon as something hits the fans, the shit hits the fan, right? You have a big dip in your business, the biggest client doesn't pay you, folds on you, right? And then all you're consumed about is this big loss that you've had. Instead of getting into solution-based thinking, all you can think of is the problem at hand. And when you're focused on the problem at hand, guess what? You're going to create more of the same. So I would work on your money beliefs. This is exactly what I did. I'm not telling you to do that, but I'm telling you what worked for me. I started to evaluate some of my beliefs that I had around money. One of the biggest beliefs I had trouble with was how much money that I can actually ever see in my bank account. So I had this belief that I can only ever see X amount in my bank account, and I couldn't reason, I couldn't think beyond that amount. I couldn't see that in my mind, in my imagination of me getting past that. So all I could attract is the same kind of scenarios, circumstances that kept my income, my bank balance there. And I remember the one time I had way more money than I'd ever had, and within about a week or two, something broke down, my car broke down, I needed new brake pads and discs and stuff. And so that money always finds a way to leave you, right? It will consistently, you'll make more than you usually have. And what will happen, something will happen and you'll say, you know what? I knew this was too good to be true. Ever heard that? If it's too good to be true, it probably is. That's based upon someone's thinking. And that's a negative idea too, right? So I never think of like, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. I don't believe that. That's lack thinking. That's not thinking from abundance. So I want you to reevaluate how you think. This is one thing that I did over and over again. I kept on reevaluating. Why am I thinking this way? Why do I really feel like 10,000 a month is a lot of money? Why do I feel that? Because I'd never done it before. And all my reasoning, all my beliefs were around where my income was at. So my beliefs were congruent with my income. Or you could say my income was congruent with my beliefs. Unless you start to change on those money beliefs, nothing changes. So think about your money. Imagine your mind, right? Your marvelous mind, your unconscious mind is like a safe. And it's like this phone, right? I can't get into this phone. Oh, I've got Face ID on it, but I can't get into the phone, all right, if I don't have the right code, right, to put in, right? A numeric code. So I've got to put the code in exactly the right way. Only then can I access my phone. Just like that. You have a safe. Within that safe in your subconscious mind is unlimited wealth that you can tap into. But unless you actually know how to get into that region of your subconscious mind that controls your wealth, you're never able to access those big 50, 100K months. This is what I do with my clients. I help them identify, firstly, here's some of the beliefs that are holding you back. And it's not always the obvious ones. It's not always obvious. And sometimes they won't even be apparent until you've gone in and you change something. And all of a sudden, you might not even be aware of the money belief that you've changed. But we work on something, we install a new code, and all of a sudden, you start to open abundance. These big, huge gates open where the clients start coming in. All of these avenues of wealth start flowing through. Abundance starts to open up, and all sorts of opportunities open up alongside that. So decoding that money mindset is really important. Have you ever had a bicycle lock, right, with the digits on it, right, where you had to have a certain digit in a certain way? And unless you had that combination correctly, or it could be a padlock, right, in your gym, unless you had that padlock in a certain sequence, you can pull it, you can jiggle it, you can wiggle it as much as you want, and you can pull on it, and it doesn't open, right? And you think, I've got it, it's a bit looser. You turn the next one down and it locks. Now, until you got the right sequence, you remember the code, only then can you open that lock and access your phone, your gym bag, your trainers, or whatever else that you got in your locker. Only then can you get it. The mind is the same thing. It's been locked for generations. Let's say you're 35 years old, right? So you've got 35 years of conditioning that you've got to unlock. And a lot of time people come through motivation. I want to get motivated. I want to get pumped. They listen to something on YouTube. They listen to a podcast or something, and they got an idea and they feel ignited temporarily. They're motivated. And you'll find that motivation slowly starts wearing off. And when that starts wearing off, guess what happens? You go back to round one and you go for that same cycle over and over again. You'll pick up this book, you'll pick up that book, you'll listen to this podcast, you'll watch another YouTube video, watch an inspirational person on Insta or YouTube, and you'll get so pumped up. If they can do it, I can do it. You relate to someone's story. Oh, they did this, so I must be able to do it. The difference is, unless you decode that money mindset, you still stay stuck. Income doesn't change. Nothing changes. So I want you to write down maybe 5 beliefs, negative ideas around money that you have. Get a pen and paper, do it right now. Write down, and what were you taught? What did you hear frequently about money growing up? What were some of the experiences that you had where there was a lack of money and it caused you a lot of pain and emotional pain? There's 2 things that can happen then. You can have a positive impact, right, when you have those downtimes, right, where you just cut away, you have to cut loose, or it drives you deeper and deeper into that same mindset. So you have an emotional impact, right? An emotional impact is normally negative, and sometimes that's enough to spark something, ignite something within you at a very deep unconscious level, where enough is enough and you break all records, right? You start doing things that you've never done before, and you really break the mold. You crack the ice, the iceberg, right? You're out there, you're free. Or the other thing is, you've lost your house and now you're just on a downward spiral. All you can think about is a debt. You can't get out of it. You're in like shock, right? And this shock stays with you for the next 30 years because that has impacted you in a very negative way, and it's just suppressed you, it's compressed you, and now you formed a new program and you just can't escape it. See, this happen with a lot of successful people. Sometimes they have success once and then they're not able to repeat it because they haven't formed the habit, the thinking habits, the beliefs around someone successful. This is why you see people who win the lottery, within a very short space of time, they've lost all their money. They've lost all their money because they haven't had an abundant mindset. Their mind is still coded for not having wealth. So they did everything they can to get rid of the money. They say, well, they self-sabotage. It wasn't a self-sabotage. It was simply the fact that this person was not programmed for this level of income. So if you're not programmed for this level of income, the income's going to be very temporary and it will go. I want you to remember that. I don't know when you're listening to this podcast, but we've got something really cool coming up. It's on Wednesday, the 19th of February at 11 a.m. Eastern time and 4 p.m. UK time. We're hosting a 2-hour live webinar. It's called Decoding Your Money Mindset. Is where I'm going to be going in deep into some of the changes that you've got to work on a day-to-day basis in order for you to really start decoding your money mindset so your business can flourish, so you can start attracting those bigger level clients that you want, so you can start charging more, so you can start making more in less time. Unless we fix this one thing, guess what? Our money game does not change. So you can go generations, you can have the best product, the best idea, the best marketing campaign, the best strategy. Now, if you're not wired for success, you're not going to have permanent growth in your income. I want you to remember that. So make sure you register. There'll be a link in the description. I'm really looking forward to you being there. Now, if you do show up, we've only got a limited amount of seats. I've never done this before, never going to do it again. And oh, one more thing I nearly forgot to tell you. We're going to be running a prize draw. If you attend live on this webinar and your name's selected, right, and you'll have an opportunity to win a 30-minute one-to-one call with me. Okay, it's for you, but you got to attend live. This isn't if you watch it on the replay. We'll have a list of everybody's names that are registered for that and who's showing up live, and then we'll select one person who gets to spend 30 minutes with me over Zoom. So listen, I'm really looking forward to seeing you there, and let's make it happen. So I'll see you there. Take care.